Hello and welcome to Yoga Therapy Mallorca. I'm Mirjam Wagner, and the topic of today's mini lecture are the organs, and specifically the link and the difference between the Western medicine approach and the approach of Chinese Eastern medicine. Probably many of you know a lot more than I about organs because you are into nutrition, alimentation, digestion, you're therapists and doctors. And so you know that in Western medicine, we first have a look at each organ and we see where this organ is, what kind of form it has and what functions it has. Purely physical functions, physical and chemical functions. And this is the main goal in our Western medicine, to understand what this organ is precisely doing and what effects there are when the organ, for one reason or the other, cannot fulfill its functions properly. And it's amazing what Western medicine and researchers have found out, what we know today, because of the passion of so many people, of technology and science that have brought us so far that today we can tell much more in detail what each one of these organs or each one of the parts of our bodies are here for. When we go into the Eastern medicine, into Chinese medicine here especially, then these organs, which are already a miracle in themselves, become even more interesting, more exciting, because the Eastern approach to these organs is not so much the physiological function, but much more the energetic and emotional function and how they cooperate with all the other organs and substances around them. So, bringing these two approaches together, combining these two sciences and really investigating in them and really studying the different details is so enriching, is so empowering, and gives us a complete other relationship to our organs, another deeper respect for their many functions that they have, and also kind of cariño, a kind of tenderness, a kind of really loving admiration that makes us support them much more in their daily processes, so that it's a little bit easier for them. When we look at the organs, and I'm talking here about the heart, about the lungs, the liver, the stomach, the spleen, the small and large intestine, and the kidneys, then we get their physiological function, where the Western medicine is focusing on. And on the other side, we get all the information from Chinese medicine, what emotions they're linked to, what mental patterns they can provoke, or they can also eliminate, or they can be supported by, and also the general energetic influence that they have. And at the beginning, when I started to study Chinese medicine years ago, after I have finished my osteopathy studies, and I really wanted to go deeper into the organs. And so through Yin Yoga, I found the Chinese medicine, the Chinese approach to the organs. And it was kind of a learning by heart, right? Didn't have to do anything with the Western approach. And it seemed like these two worlds didn't have anything to do with each other and were constantly in competition with each other, or you had either to believe in one or in the other. Meanwhile, and I'm really so thankful to the work of Dr. Daniel Curran in his book The Spark in the Machine. Meanwhile, it is proven, or we understand, that the thousands of years of Chinese medicine and wisdom, without having any scientific support or tools, knew already, but today our Western medicine, step by step and quite slowly, are proving to be true. And we see also today where the interlink, where the meeting point is. So let's take, for example, the liver. The liver is a very important organ in Western medicine, right? It is the chemical factory of our body. It checks all the blood that comes from the digestive organs and filters it through and checks it before it is going to be sent to the heart, where it is exchanged then in the heart-lung circulation. Again, the old toxic carbon dioxide is exchanged into new oxygen. But before this is happening, the liver takes all this blood and checks it point by point. What substances can I use? Which substances are already there and need to be eliminated or need to be transformed in something else? Which substances are needed in some part of the body, so it's going to be sent back into the circulation, back into the blood circulation. Which substances are so toxic that there is no way that it can be resent into the blood circulation or directly to the heart, so it's going to be sent to the kidneys, where all the plasma of the liquid part of the blood is filtered and then eventually eliminated in form of urine out of the body. The liver has so many functions that it's impossible to count them all or to explain them all right now, because this would take too much of this video. But I encourage you to investigate more in the liver and be amazed about its incredible function that it has only on a physiological level. So when we take the Eastern medicine, the Chinese medicine, then we all of a sudden find completely different terms. And we hear that the liver is responsible for the smooth flow of qi, and qi is the name of this invisible energy that is running through our body. I like to really compare it with the Wi-Fi zones that are in our house, around our house, through the whole society, around the world. We never see them, but they enable us to communicate with each other through our devices, and we never ever question that, right? But the qi, the life force, the energy, we usually question it a lot. Those who are not working with it, not seldom I'm here. What a bullshit. I mean, what are you talking about? I do not believe in something I cannot touch. But the qi is real, and the qi, life force, prana, however you want to call it, is influenced by circumstances, by emotions, by thoughts. The qi can be flowing freely through our body. It can be excessive, it can be too much that goes to certain areas of our body. It can be too little, deficient, so it's a very weak qi. or it can be stagnant, it can be blocked, which is usually the cause for pain. Okay, but there we come another time to that. So let's continue the Chinese approach to the organs. So they do not talk about chemical processes or what toxic or what elements are in there. Specifically, they talk about the qi in general, and they say when qi is flowing in all our body, it needs to be fluid, it needs to be fluent. So the liver is the one who is responsible for the smooth flow of qi. At the same time, the Chinese medicine says that the qi or the liver is responsible for the emotion of anger. Let's say it is related to anger, and anger can be either expressed or suppressed. So if the liver is in a good state, in a good health, we are able to express our anger appropriately in the moment when we feel it, and it doesn't cause any anxiety, any blockages, any incredible explosion of anger. It's just what it is. It's anger, it's being expressed, and then it moves away. But if the qi of the liver is not balanced, then we will have some problems in expression, finding ways of expression for our anger. And the same way is the other way around. It can be that the liver isn't functioning for some reason or another. Maybe we drink too much alcohol, let's say, or too fatty nutrition. And this influences the physiological functions of the liver, and will then also have its effects on our ability to express anger in an appropriate way. So when we hear that, when I heard this first, I found it extremely fascinating. And yet I had to learn this by heart for each organ. I had to learn by heart first what emotions are linked with. And it was more a fact of believing and wanting to believe rather than knowing it. And of course, with time, I explored myself. I observed myself, the symptoms that I got through my body or through my emotions. I made the link, and I explored and researched. I experienced it. And I could really say, wow, this is really true. This makes sense. I could catch myself often and some emotions, and then linked to organs. And when I did some yin poses or exercises to support a certain organ, the emotional part would also get more balanced. What happens now is that Dr. Daniel Cohen, in his book The Spark of the Machine, which I can highly recommend, is one of the first who brings the clear link in between Eastern and Western medicine. So let's take the liver again and see what this means. When the Chinese medicine says that the liver is responsible for the smooth flow of qi, so then we see that in Western medicine, the liver is really responsible for the smooth flow of blood in our peritoneum, in our in the cavity where all these organs are. And blood and qi are linked so much to each other. Blood is the yin aspect, and qi is the yang aspect. Blood is much more slow, it's much more dense when we compare it to qi, and qi is quick, it's evasive, and it's fast. So when in Western medicine, we concentrate on the blood and see that yes, when there is a problem with the liver, the blood flow gets stuck and especially can cause problems in our abdominal cavity or pelvis cavity and in the organs there. Then it makes sense, all of a sudden it makes sense when from Eastern medicine we can say that the liver is responsible for a smooth flow of qi and a smooth flow of emotions. There is another link to the fact that the Chinese medicine says that the liver is responsible or linked to anger, whether or not it can be expressed appropriately. Because when we go to the Western medicine, then we talk about hormones, for example, something the Chinese medicine is not addressing at all. And when we go to the hormones, there is one hormone that is called the histamine, which is the irritable hormone. It's the one that makes us feel itchy, it's the one that makes us feel moody, it's the one that makes us feel insupportable. And the liver helps to break this histamine down. What does this mean? When the liver is not functioning properly, it cannot break down the histamine, right? So the hormone histamine is not being broken down appropriately, and it's going to rise in its level and its power. So it's then when we get really agitated, moody, insupportable, we get itchy, we try to deal with it, and at a certain moment we just explode. So this is an anger which is not appropriately expressed because we're not in control of it. We didn't have the support of the physical lever here to break down the histamine and support us in our emotional reaction of anger. So this is just a little example which is explained in a very poor way, I have to say. That's why I can really only recommend you to read Dr. Dean Cohen's book, The Spark in the Machine. But it gives you an idea of how fascinating it is that the Chinese medicine has been talking about this for thousands of years without all the tools, the research that we can rely on today. And that today we Westerners, with our way of thinking and our need to see proofs, find finally the approval, the proof and the link to this thousands of years old wisdom. Dr. Dean Cohen says in a really funny way, his book is really written with such a good humor and such a light way, although it is a very complex topic. He brings it up once and says, so he's asking himself, what the hell have these Chinese doctors have been smoking that they knew all this wisdom already thousands of years ago? So I hope that this very short, very kind of superficial example of how close Western and Eastern medicine are linked to each other, I hope that this encourages you to investigate more. All of my teachings are based on my years and years and years of personal studies of osteopathy, fascia therapy, Chinese medicine, now acupuncture also, the meridians, the organs on different levels, and on the profound wish and longing to support each other on our individual healing process in bringing understanding of these amazing structures, our body, their communication with our soul, our heart, our emotions, and also the close link to each one of our thoughts, as we can choose how we think and how we see the world. And there I'm talking more about it in my free lectures that are published under the category Spirituality, Course in Miracle, Buddhism, and under other spiritual paths. I wish you a lot of joy, a lot of curiosity, and a lot of moments of aha when you go this path. I do what I can to share my knowledge with you, my discoveries, and wisdom that is brought and transmitted in an easy and light to digest way. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.